In the coming weeks, I will issue an executive order requiring federal contractors to pay their federally funded employees a fair wage of at least $10.10 an hour, because if you cook our troops' meals or wash their dishes, you should not have to live in poverty.
President Obama, in his 2014 State of the Union address, announcing a minimum wage increase for everybody who worked for a federal contractor. So people like food and janitorial workers on American military bases, anybody working on a federal government contract. This is a big deal at the time. You can tell from that clip, actually. You can probably tell from the huge applause that announcement from President Obama got, at least from the Democratic side. President Obama at the time had been trying to get Congress to approve an increase in the minimum wage for all Americans. But even though that idea is wildly popular among the American people, Republicans in Congress wouldn't budge. They wouldn't do it. So President Obama did the next best thing. He did what he could do on his own without Congress. He signed this executive order, raising the minimum wage at least for hundreds of thousands of Americans who work for federal contractors. And Republicans went bananas. They lost their minds. Just before President Obama's State of the Union speech that night, one Texas Republican congressman tweeted from the House floor that he was awaiting the arrival of the socialistic dictator, the commandant in chef. The commandant in chef is much worse than the commandant in chief, because the chef one makes you eat stuff. It's terrible. Socialistic dictator. That was about the minimum wage increase for federal contractors. House Speaker John Boehner said that Obama's minimum wage hike for contractors was against the Constitution, and Republicans would see the president in court. Spoiler alert there. It turns out it was not against the Constitution, and it went into effect just fine. But still, the panic was crazy. Senator Ted Cruz said this minimum wage increase for federal contractors was the sign of the Obama imperial presidency. He was proclaiming himself an emperor, you guys. His persistent pattern of lawlessness. It was like murder, this $2.85 per hour raise in the minimum wage for federal contractors. Obviously, it was intended to be the end of the republic. But despite the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs reaction on the right, President Obama did sign that executive order, and it went into effect. And since then, federal contractors have been getting a minimum wage of just over $10 an hour. And the country, you might have noticed, is not a smoking hulk of communist wreckage. People who were not making very much money before just got some more money. And that's pretty much the thing that changed, period. Because of that experience in 2014, it is going to be harder for Republicans to get people to freak out about it this time around, although they will undoubtedly try. But now President Joe Biden is going to raise that minimum wage for those same folks again. On the eve of his first big speech to Congress, his State of the Union tomorrow, President Biden today signed an executive order raising the minimum wage for federal contractors to $15 an hour. He already raised the minimum hourly wage for federal employees to $15 an hour. Now it'll be $15 an hour for federal contractors as well. This will affect hundreds of thousands of federal contract workers. More than 300,000 Americans are going to get basically a pretty big and permanent pay raise, an average of more than $3,000 a year of a raise for more than 300,000 Americans who are working at the bottom end of the wage scale, even though their work is for contractors who are getting their money from the federal government. And of course, 300,000 to 400,000 American workers, it's a lot of Americans, but it's still a tiny fraction of the workforce overall. Just like President Obama, President Biden would prefer to raise the minimum wage for all Americans because of Republicans blocking that in the Senate and some conservative Democratic senators being unwilling to try other means to get it passed. Republicans have been able to basically successfully block that. So instead, he's doing what he can. A sort of a big something, but it is what he can do on his own. Joining us now is Jared Bernstein. He was chief economic advisor to Joe Biden when he was vice president. He's now a member of President Biden's White House Council of Economic Advisors. Mr. Bernstein, it is great to see you. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Jared, in terms of the previous experience with this, I played that clip from President Obama both to walk down memory lane about the Republican freakout about it, but also to remember that there was another boost in this wage ordered
Right.
by the president in 2014. Economically, were there negative knock-on effects from doing that 7 years ago with the boost that President Obama arranged?
Yeah, it's a very important question, Rachel, and it reminds me of the kinds of analysis that we're able to do with minimum wages, where we also find that to be a very effective program. Because we had this in place, as you mentioned, in 2014-15, we were able to go back at the Council of Economic Advisors and look at its impact on federal contracting costs, and we found that it had no impact in terms of the change in contracting costs. There was no significant increase at costs, or for that matter, it just pretty much flatlined. And I think it's important to ask yourself why. And the answer is that the efficiencies that are engendered when you raise the pay of low-wage workers help to offset those labor costs. Now, those efficiencies include fewer absentees, less turnover, fewer vacancies, boosted morale, boosted effort, and those kinds of efficiencies absorb the increase in labor costs, and therefore we observed that the contracting costs didn't go up as a result of this executive order.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.